How to build massive wealth. So building long-term wealth and massive wealth, what's the difference? Well, there's a few things. And I want to start by talking about your assets, because your assets are where massive wealth is going to happen. So it's smart buys, it's smart sales, it's knowing when to sell off, take profits. There's a whole strategy on how to do smart asset alternative investing. And it has to be alternative, cannot just be the stock market. All that is a huge tax problem. Then the next thing I want to talk about is grow your company. You say, well, I don't have a company. Well, you're going to get one. So you got to add some cash flow so you can do more of that investing. It's got to go together. You got to do one and then the other. You got to keep it moving. And then how do you do better tax-free investing, which is including life insurance, Roth IRAs, and all of that. So let's begin. Let's talk about alternative assets and how do you use assets to build massive wealth and do it quickly. And again, like I said, it's the buy and it's the sell. Most people park it in the market. They'll park and pray and hope to God it works out. The problem with only stock market investing is you've got capital gains problems. So when you already are making a ton of money, you're already overpaying tax because you're a huge W-2, why would you put money into the only asset that's going to continue to create a problem? You should be buying real estate, gas and oil, huge, aviation, water rights, mineral rights. There's all sorts of different assets, give you depreciation schedules, which are losses against that big income. So how you invest is a huge part of your tax strategy. Who tells you that? I promise you, most CPAs aren't telling you that. Financial planners aren't going to tell you that because financial planners don't sell the kind of real estate, the kind of gas and oil, mineral rights, water rights, aviation. They're selling you stock. They'll sell you Chevron stock. I don't want you to do Chevron stock or Shell stock. I want you to buy the well. Like in the middle of Texas somewhere, I want you to buy a well. You say, well, I can't buy a well. There are partnerships. There's packages of people who know how to do all this. All of this stuff is very, very attainable. You just don't have access because your head's down and you're in your job all day long and you're too busy focusing on your job, making somebody else rich versus yourself. So how you make it and how you invest it is critical to your entire formula of building long-term wealth. And if you're also in the market park and pray with a financial planner who's not paying attention, they get their money on the front of the buy. They're making their money when you buy stock, bond, mutual fund, annuity, whatever you're buying from them. They make their money first. They could care less what your performance. They tell you they care. They've already made, the house has already made money. The planner's already made money. Yours is just parked out there. Some people actually do care, so I can't throw them all in the same big generalized bucket, but most don't. Most of them, 2020, you hit a 30% decline. You're like, well, you're in for the long haul. That's okay. You lost 30, really? So you were worth $1 million. Now it's okay that all of a sudden your portfolio is right at 700,000. There's nothing okay with that in my mind. Nothing. But it's all legally protected. Super interesting strategy that we have going on in that whole side of the industry. So the second way is to ramp up your business. You say, well, I don't have a business. We're going to get a business. So you say, well, I don't have a business. I have a job. That's fine. Have a job. And then what are you going to do extra? Are you going to be in property management? Are you going to go into, you could own part of a construction company. You could own some franchises. So you're going to have a job and you're going to have something else. A lot of people who are IT, like I have a lot of high IT, they work for Amazon, they work for Zoom, they work for Microsoft, they work for whoever, they work for Apple, make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Those are our client base, high income earners, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 income earners. Not really probably smart to go quit those jobs, but it's going to be a slower path to be a millionaire. So what can they do? They get businesses on the side. Call them side hustles. If you really listen to my YouTube channel and look through my search bar, I have a whole conversation about a side hustle versus a hustle. I can tell you it's the same amount of work, just go hustle. A hustle is something that's going to make you 6 figures or more. Why get out of bed for a couple extra $100? If you're really playing the game, let's play it right and play it big. You still got to do the same activity is the point. So grow your company, whatever that is. And if you don't have a company, go join forces with some people. I have a group of firemen out of the Chicago, firemen and women actually out of the Chicago area. They have a very cool company called Hubby for Hire. So it's basically a very elite and expansive handyman service. So the women get the jobs, you know, the hubbies that do duties that don't get done because people have honey-do lists around their house all the time and they just need some extra help. And then when they're off work, then the men come in, or sometimes the women come in and they actually do all the work. So you get the contract, you do the work, it's pretty easy. And they're all making hundreds and hundreds of thousands more. The difference is that money is 100% invested. So they live on their firefighter money and they invest the rest. So that fast millionaire path, really fast. So what can you do to add extra cash flow and income, active income to your world? Now, before I talk about the last point, I want to have you subscribe to my channel. I want you here 5 days a week. We are family friendly, 5 years old and up, easily can understand it. And I want you just to start a conversation in your household about money. What did you learn? What are you going to do? We have these amazing journals you can buy. It's down in the description below. You can always buy a journal, keep track of what video you watch, what you learn, what are you going to do. Now you have an action plan, 365 days. So take this seriously about learning money. If you want long-term wealth, you've got to commit to the knowledge of having long-term wealth and the responsibility of it. The last point, though, is life insurance. So I'm a huge fan. Life insurance funded inside a trust. And eventually, when you're wealthy enough, you will have a living family trust, which avoids probate. And then you will have an irrevocable trust. Depending on where you are, you might even end up with a Nevada Asset Protection Trust. So there's all sorts of different kinds of trusts that you can protect your life and your money in to keep it generational. And you load that up with life insurance. The kind of life insurance we do, and you're always welcome to call into our office or go to askloral.com, ASKLORAL, ask about our life insurance conversation and education, because it becomes a bank. You put money in, you can borrow it back out the next day. I mean, you literally start becoming a bank. And when you want to pull that money, it's tax-free because you've already put it away into a policy. And then you get to pull it back out. So if you loan it, yes, you've got to pay back a little bit of interest to the company for that loan transaction. But if you just pull it, it's tax-free. So it's an interesting strategy. The other strategy is a Roth IRA. So a Roth IRA is tax-free, tax-deferred. And there's certain assets like cryptocurrencies, like what I call runaway stocks, like where you put them in, you buy low, you watch them run up, you either sell off or keep them. And it's all growth, tax-free, tax-deferred. So I've seen a lot of people, including myself, who bought Bitcoin way low, 4, 5, 9,000. And it ran into those Roths, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars now. So there's a lot of strategies to have tax-free wealth. And a lot of you, as you start building your wealth and income, unless you get corporately structured, trust structured, use insurance right, and use these Roth IRAs right, you're going to overpay taxes. There's a lot of vehicles to actually take down that tax bill so you're not handing it off to the IRS or to the Canadian Revenue Agency or wherever country you live in. Legally, there's strategies you need to employ, and it has to be an integrated solution. So that's what we do. Love to help you. Go to Ask Loral, ASKLORAL, ask a question, make a request. We'll be back tomorrow.